Hi, today here in Atlantic City, not just at the tables, but also in the ring. The prize, the WBA Light Heavyweight Championship of the World. One of the gamblers is champion Leslie Stewart of Trinidad, hoping for a knockout and a chance to cash in more chips in the first defense of his title since soundly defeating three-time champion Marvin Johnson in Port of Spain last May. And the other high roller is the 23-year-old undefeated challenger from North Dakota, Virgil Hill. He puts all the chips on the line, going for it all, little to lose, everything to gain. He's awaiting his chance in his dressing room, as is champion Leslie Stewart. Today they meet for the coveted title, live from Atlantic City on ABC's Wide World of Sport. We're live, the Imperial Ballroom, Trump Plaza in Atlantic City, for the scheduled 15-round WBA Light Heavyweight Championship bout. Champion Leslie Stewart defends against undefeated challenger, Olympic medalist Virgil Hill. And the man who will be defending that world title is ready and waiting in his dressing room. Leslie Stewart of Trinidad, just the second fighter from his country to win a world championship. But that road was far from easy. He was undefeated in 18 fights when he took on Marvin Johnson in February of '86 for the vacant WBA light heavyweight title. It was a grueling fight from the start, with plenty of slugging and close quarters action. In the 6th round, Stewart came out of one such exchange with a nasty cut. Leslie knew the cut was bad enough to stop the fight, and he fought his heart out in the 7th round. Johnson was the old man of the division and was beginning to tire. And if Leslie could just put together one good rally to get his opponent hurt and in trouble, he might be able to pull this fight out. But it was not to be. The fight was stopped in the 7th round, and Leslie's first title challenge was over. And though it was hard to mask his disappointment, Leslie still had a prediction.
I'd just like to say to all the fans who are watching that I'll be back. And to the folks in Trinidad and Tobago, we missed this one, but I'll be back, and I hope your support hasn't diminished or changed because of this loss.
After reeling off 5 straight victories, Leslie got another title shot against Johnson, and this time in Trinidad, and he made the most of it. From the opening bell, he battered Johnson, including dropping him twice in the first round before a wildly cheering crowd. After 8 rounds of constant punishment, Johnson, ever the noble warrior, had had enough and retired in his corner. Trinidad had their second world champion, and Leslie had fulfilled his great ambition, setting off a wild celebration in Port of Spain. That sets up today's bout, Leslie's first title defense. Against this 23-year-old undefeated Virgil Hill, though he lives in Las Vegas, this native of Missouri calls North Dakota his home. Today, Hill tries to become the first fighter from that state to win a world title. Virgil was an outstanding amateur. He first came into prominence when he upset the dangerous Cuban Bernardo Comas to win the 1983 North American Championships, and later that year went on to capture a bronze medal in the World Cup competition. But coming into the Olympics in '84, Hill was still considered a dark horse for a medal, but a strong showing carried him into the finals against Yoon Sup Shin of South Korea. Virgil showed his best, but came out on the short end of a 3-2 decision and had to settle for the silver. As a pro, Virgil has gone through 18 opponents unscathed, scoring 12 knockouts along the way, and now is ready today for his title bout and his toughest test. And the champion is now heading for the ring. We're glad you joined us. I'm Chris Schenkel, pleased to be working again with our ABC boxing analyst, Alex Walu.
Chris, you know, since Michael Spinks became the first light heavyweight champion to move up and win the heavyweight title, there's been a scramble among the remaining 175-pound fighters to establish themselves and inherit Michael's position as the top light heavyweight in the world. And Leslie Stewart wants very much to be impressive today to stake his claim. The last time we saw Leslie, he was involved in that tremendous brawl when he won the title from Marvin Johnson. But I expect today's fight to be completely different, a tactical fight, a chess match, because both these fighters are very similar. They are more comfortable boxing, using their speed of hand, their lateral movement to pick their spots. I think that both men also have shown a tendency to be more comfortable as counterpunchers. And if you follow boxing, you know that when you have 2 counterpunchers in the ring, there can sometimes be a lack of action because each man is waiting for the other man to punch. Hopefully today, one of these fighters will go against their instincts and press the action. You're looking there at Virgil Hill. In terms of experience, Virgil Hill has a clear edge over Stewart as amateurs. Virgil beat the top Soviet and Cuban fighters before settling for that silver medal on the narrowest of decisions in Los Angeles. But as professionals, Leslie Stewart has more fights under his belt, and more importantly, he has faced tougher opposition, most notably in those 2 title fights against Marvin Johnson we saw earlier. And it is that edge and experience primarily that makes Leslie Stewart a clear 3-1 favorite over Virgil Hill.
Thanks, Alex. We'll be back soon for the opening bell. Round 1, Atlantic City. Don't go away. For this light heavyweight championship, Vinny Ranone is the referee. Hill in the left corner. Stewart, the champion, in the right corner. 15 rounds, WBA rules. 3 judges do the scoring on the 10-pound must. Here's round 1. Stewart in black with the red stripe. Same height, same weight at 173 3/4. Virgil Hill has about a 2-inch advantage in reach. He has his back to us right now.
And right away, you see a totally different Leslie Stewart than we saw in round 1 against Marvin Johnson when he dropped Johnson twice. He's laying back. He's waiting for Virgil Hill to take the lead.
Virgil Hill has a beautiful left jab, which he follows up with a left hook. It's his most powerful punch. There you saw the jab. He's not within range, but he'll get there. So will Leslie Stewart. Fast hands, lots of uppercuts.
The reason Virgil Hill's left hand is so important to him, Chris, is because he's a converted southpaw. Always has fought as a left-hander, as a right-hander, even though he's naturally left-handed, and that makes his left hand very powerful, both in the jab and the hook that you mentioned. His problem has been that he really hasn't developed a right yet. Eddie Futch, one of the great trainers in his corner, has worked very hard with Virgil, but so far he's really just a one-armed fighter.
There, as he tried to get to the body, he was leaning forward perhaps too much. That's a good way to get caught coming in. Stewart has a sharp, crisp punch and can get you in trouble. Round 1. Nice defensive work by Hill, catching the punches on his gloves. There was a missed right hook by Stewart, the champion, who tried to dig a left hand to the body of Hill. Halfway point of the first. 5th bout in Atlantic City for Hill, the 2nd for Leslie Stewart. It is very hot here in the Imperial Ballroom. Sweating profusely is Hill. Hill on the right. 3 judges, 1 from Mexico, 2 from Panama, WBA officials.
Everything so far from Virgil with the left.
Stewart said yesterday that he knew Hill could be hit. Now he's inching forward a little bit more, the champion. Now he's up on his toes. 20 seconds, round 1, scheduled for 15.
This is a typical Virgil Hill pose, up on his toes, moving around. He uses that movement, Chris, as his defense. That's his defensive posture. Scores occasionally, but it's primarily in a defensive posture when he's moving like this.
And he's at 173 3/4, as is the champion. The WBA Light Heavyweight Championship in Atlantic City. The champion on the left, Leslie Stewart of Trinidad. Undefeated challenger on the right, Virgil Hill. Olympic medalist, silver at Los Angeles. You just shown us it was a probing first round. Hill using his left hand repeatedly. They picked up the pace just before the bell.
Pretty quiet first round. As you said, Chris, a probing first round. I gave it to Virgil Hill. He was a little bit busier, more accurate. Leslie Stewart just right now is waiting. Maybe he's trying to lull Virgil into a false sense of security and then try to land that right hand of Leslie Stewart's, which is his best punch, a straight right hand counter punch. It's very quick, it's accurate, and it's powerful.
And in 25 fights, he's scored 16 knockouts. That right hand missed. Now the chase by the champion.
A little inside left hook there by Virgil Hill. Just missed, but you could see that it got Leslie Stewart's attention, made him stop in his tracks.
There is a great battle going on in the corners between 76-year-old Eddie Futch, who trains Hill, and 72-year-old Sam Solomon, both makers of champions. But in the ring, these two men do the work.
And again, Virgil Hill, the busier man.
Flashy speed on the part of light heavyweights, especially with the Dukes. Those are 10-ounce gloves, 20-foot ring square. We'd like to remind our local stations that at the end of this round, we'll be taking a station break. So will the fighters.
Chris, you talked earlier about about Virgil Hill sweating, pouring sweat. He is. Leslie Stewart is bone dry. He may have come out here a little bit unwarmed up. And he's showing the effects of that right now. Virgil Hill has definitely gotten out of the blocks quicker.
I can only remember that heavy sweating from a fight we did in England, Alex. Bernard Taylor.
Against Barry McGuigan, that's right.
And, of course, Stewart had to make the weight this morning at 8 o'clock. He was shy by about a couple of pounds, made it okay at the 175-pound limit.
He was 2.5 pounds at the weigh-in before he won the title against Marvin Johnson, so that may not affect him as much as we might expect, Chris.
Tremendous athlete, Stewart.
And a good right hand counter punch by Virgil Hill. Virgil said not bad, and Stewart said wasn't that great.
ABC's Wide World of Sports featuring the WBA Light Heavyweight Championship will continue after this word from our local stations. 5 seconds. Heavyweight Championship, 175-pounders. The champion on the left, Leslie Stewart. Only one loss in his career of 25 fights. That was to Marvin Johnson. He avenged that 15 months later. Undefeated Olympic medalist is Virgil Hill, now on the left. First chance at a world professional title.
Chris, in between rounds, Sam Solomon in Leslie Stewart's corner said, "How you feeling?" Leslie said, "I feel fine." And Sam said, "All right, let's see something then." I mean, Leslie just hasn't been very active in the first 2 rounds, both of which on my scorecard were won by Virgil Hill.
It was sort of an uncle comment, Alex, like, well, okay, this is a pleasant afternoon here in Atlantic City. Do something. Very determined champion. Since May of this year, he's had only, this is his 3rd fight this year. It's the 5th fight for Hill in '87.
There's a good jab by Leslie Stewart. Neither fighter really putting much together thus far, Chris.
Those jabs by Hill are beautiful, and they're so quick. But he can't put any power behind the punches when he's dancing around. Now he's a little more flat-footed. Both of the light heavyweights are. Look out.
You're exactly right. But the major challenge for Eddie Futch in taking over Virgil Hill's career as a professional has been to get him balanced, to get him on his feet, stop bouncing, stop wasting energy, to get more power in his punches.
And his selection of punches, a great improvement, I believe, Alex, on the part of Hill. Just saw a combination there. It was a little short. Whoops.
That's actually illegal, and Vinny Roney was stopping. You can't hold on to the ropes.
Combinations by Hill, the challenger, on the right.
Very little power, but they are scoring points, and meanwhile, Leslie Stewart isn't getting anything done.
And on my scorecard, I had Hill winning both the 1st and 2nd rounds. A Mexico judge and 2 from Panama. Do all the scoring on the 10-point must. Referee does not score. Vinny Ronone doing a good job.
And again, an exchange of punches, Chris, but Virgil Hill being the busier, scoring more points.
And he's getting there first. Quick hands. Neither fighter has gone 15 rounds.
They've both been 12 rounds once. I really think conditioning will be a big factor in this fight. Virgil Hill does an awful lot of bouncing and moving. He has to be in tremendous condition to execute that over 15 rounds.
Good left hand by the champion Stewart. They'll get a rest in 4 seconds. Mike Hall had to do some patchwork over the left eye of the champion Leslie Stewart. That was the cut that ended his first try for a championship against Marvin Johnson.
It's Eddie Eliano in Leslie's corner working on the cut, Chris. And Eddie closed that cut. Eddie was not in the corner with Leslie when he fought Johnson the first time, and that cut did lead to the end of the fight. the second time in Trinidad and Tobago when they fought. The cut opened up again, but Eddie Eliano was there, and he closed it very, very well. It will be a factor in this fight. Good right-hand counter punch. We talked about that punch from Leslie Stewart. He scored it twice there in Virgil Hill.
And now a little fancy Dan stuff by Hill. Because of that fancy Dan, I believe Hill was stunned, shook up for the combination. But he isn't intimidated.
And he showed his best punch, his best power punch there, that left hook. Caught Stewart with it. Again in the corner while Eddie Eliano was working on Stewart's cut, Sam Solomon was trying to light a fire under the champion. He said, Leslie, you look like you got nothing.
All misses by the champion Stewart. But the challenger got into dangerous territory. Remember, these are light heavyweights. Limit of 175 pounds.
You see both men there. We talked at the top of the show, Chris, what happens when we have two counter punchers? They've been standing there. Oh, good right hand by Virgil Hill. That's the punch we said he didn't have. He showed us right there that Leslie Stewart cannot concentrate just in his left hand. I was just saying, you have two counter punchers who are looking at each other and they're just waiting for the other man to initiate the action.
And like Hill a little earlier, Stewart felt the sting of the Hill punches because he dropped his hands immediately. Another left hook by Hill.
Get off!
Sam
Get off!
Solomon, get off, he said.
No, that counter puncher.
Here Sam says a counter puncher. He wants Leslie to initiate the action.
And he's doing it.
Oh, left hand!
There's your shot. The champion is down. We have... This is the fourth round. Vinny Ranone, it's a mandatory 8. He's still spaghetti leg. Here in Atlantic City, the champion. Fourth round.
Stewart walked right into a counter left hook, right on the button.
Can Virgil Hill finish off? Only 8 seconds. The bell is going to say... Oh, he'll need that 1 minute rest. And there he's down. He cannot be saved by the bell except the last round.
It's all over.
The fight is over. Another upset. 2 weeks ago, Marvin Stalling over Mark Breland. So you have another Olympic medalist has become a world champion in his 19th fight. Virgil Hill, the pride and joy of Williston, North Dakota, 23 years old. He is a champion after only 4 rounds of a scheduled 15 round. That left hand, Alex, a thing of beauty. Combining it with a little right. What a shot.
Just a tremendous counter left hook, Chris. We said he liked the counter punch. We said he had a strong left hook. A converted southpaw. Virgil Hill got Leslie Stewart in trouble, and then with just a few seconds left in the round, he finished him. Leslie Stewart tried to get up, fell back down, and referee Vinny Ranone waved his hands. Even while he was down, Leslie Stewart was protesting, "I'm all right." And you see him sitting there on the stool. He's fully awake, but those 2 left hooks by Virgil Hill scored a tremendous upset and took this young man who came up short in Los Angeles in 1984. A dark horse, some consider him the weakest member of the 1984 Olympic team. He proved here that he can fight.
He goes along in my book with Evander Holyfield as a tremendous fighter.
Let's take a look here. A couple of jabs that missed there by Stewart. And there's the left hook, a counter punch. Just clipped Stewart right in the edge of the jaw. He tried to stay up, but he collapsed there on the ropes. That was the first knockdown.
And the left hook, the quickness of a Sugar Ray Leonard left hook. Unbelievably quick.
The pawing left, and over that left jab, Virgil Hill got home with his left hook. That is a hard, hard left hook.
Well, Alex, I'm feeling very much at home, having done the House of Upsets for years. In 2 weeks, we've had 2 upsets. 1 Olympic champion went down, Breland, and now we have a silver medalist that has won a world title. All right, here in Atlantic City, let's go back to New York, and our hosts of ABC's Wide World of Sports, of course, will be back. Here now, Becky Dixon and Al Trautwig.
Okay, Chris, and of course we will be checking back to Atlantic City to get some of the aftermath and some 1987.
Is the new WBA light heavyweight champion of the world with Freddie Roach, a former fighter, and Eddie Futch, the two trainers that did a tremendous job, and of course so did Virgil Hill. 19th fight, 13th knockout, KO at the end of round 4. Look at that happy Olympian. Okay, in the ring, a man who's followed Virgil Hill all the way, Alex Walu.
Virgil,
Yeah.
congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You were a dark horse at the Olympics in 1984. Nobody gave you a chance coming into this fight against a creditable champion, Leslie Stewart. Just a sensational victory. Did you have total confidence that you could win this fight?
I was at peace with myself. I had prayed a lot. I give a lot of credit to the Lord. I know a lot of people don't like to hear that, but I have to say that. And I had a lot of confidence. We trained real hard. We were busy last year. We fought 10 times, 5 times this year. So we were very active, and we just gradually took our time and crept up on everybody.
You sure did. You crept up with that left hook, Virgil.
Yes.
You've scored most of your knockouts with a counter left hook.
Yes.
You scored this time. He jabbed, probed with the jab. Let's take a look at the knockout over here. If I can walk you over here, Virgil, the monitor. This time he put out a left jab on you, not much of a left jab. You made a miss with that one. He's going to miss, I believe, one more, and then you're going to come across with that left hook. Did you think that you could hit him with this punch?
I think, first of all, I thought it was the right hand that set it up. At first, I hurt him with the right hand, and then that happened.
Earlier in the round?
Right.
Right. I
hit
remember
him
that. I
by
was
jab.
shocked to see you hurt somebody with a right hand.
Right. Yeah, and I'm sure they thought I was just a one-handed fighter, and we had worked a lot on the right hand coming over the top because we had thought he would counter our jab with his parry it with his left hand and counter with his right.
This is the end of the round. This is the final knockout, Virgil. Did you know that there were only a few seconds left in the round?
No,
and you
I
had
didn't. What I didn't want to do, though, was rush myself because he's got a good right hand. He slips good, he works good off the ropes. So, I just took my time, and we didn't get him that round, we get him the next.
You said yesterday that the biggest thing that you've had to learn in the transition to the pros has been patience, that the pros are much longer than 3 rounds, instead of 3 rounds, 15 rounds. You were patient here. You came in probing, you used your jab.
Yeah.
Did you have any idea that after the first 3 rounds that he was vulnerable to that kind of power?
Well, no, not really. What I had seen, though, was when I was throwing my jab, he kept countering or blocking it with his left hand. So I said, we'd work the exact same moves. Jab downstairs, overhand right, left hook. And that's what I threw.
Virgil, where do you go from here? You've upset the odds. What is in your plans? I never thought I'd be in here talking to you about what you hope to do in the future as light heavyweight champion. What do you want to accomplish now?
Well, what I want to accomplish is bring recognition to myself and to my home state, North Dakota, Clinton, Missouri, too. And, basically go back to the drawing board and do whatever the winning combination says right here.
Congratulations to you and to Eddie Futch and Freddie Roach in your corner.
I'd like to say thanks to everybody that had a part in doing all this for me. Thank you to ABC, and I love you, North Dakota.
Congratulations, Virgil. Sensational win. Let me move over here, if I could, to the former champion, Leslie Stewart. Leslie. Leslie, you came in very, very dry, and you started very, very slowly. Did you warm up properly for the fight?
Yeah, I'd warmed up. I thought I'd see what he had to offer for the first couple of rounds. And his momentum, I guess I just didn't pick up his momentum soon enough. And I was kind of too, I wasn't following up one shot at a time, but my second told me, and just when I was picking up, I got caught. I was trying to get my combinations together, get them going, take the fight to him, and I got caught. But I believe we have a case of a form of complaint. We're going to file a protest because when I went down, I got up at the count of 5, and I told the referee I was okay. And he stopped the fight without giving me an opportunity to continue to get the full 8 count or whatever. And I was okay. He stopped counting at 5, and I was up on my feet, and he just stopped the fight. And I felt I could have continued. 5 is not the normal counting distance.
Okay, Leslie. A disgruntled ex-champion, Leslie Stewart. Let's go back down to ringside and Chris Schenkel.
And I know Virgil is happy, so are his parents, Leona and Robert, who started it all. From Atlantic City, we go back. Here is Robert. Robert, I know you're proud of your son.
Oh, you bet. I knew he could do this if he hit that left hook. I knew he could do it. Thank you.
Well, congratulations to you. KO in the 4th round. New champion, Virgil Hill of Williston, North Dakota. Chris Schenkel, Alex Weiler, back to Al Troutwig in New York.
His world title. Now, 2 weeks ago,